The deployment of North Korean soldiers to Ukraine has added an unexpected layer to the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. These soldiers, thrust into a war far from their homeland, are facing immense challenges. Ill-prepared, undertrained, and struggling with language barriers, their presence has raised questions about their effectiveness and the larger implications of their involvement. This video explores how these soldiers ended up in Ukraine, the trials they face on the battlefield, and the broader human and geopolitical consequences. The alliance that brought North Korea into the war. In June 2024, Russian President Vladimir Putin visited Pyongyang to meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. This meeting resulted in a defense pact that pledged military cooperation in the face of aggression. The timing of this agreement proved crucial when, just 2 months later, Ukraine launched an incursion into the Russian oblast of Kursk, providing Putin with the justification to call upon his new ally for support. Under the agreement, North Korea committed to sending both weapons and troops to Russia's aid. By November, it was reported that between 11,000 and 12,000 North Korean soldiers had been deployed to Russia. However, these soldiers, accustomed to North Korea's rigid military structures, were entering a battlefield vastly different from anything they had ever experienced. Training shortfalls and language barriers. The North Korean soldiers sent to Ukraine have encountered significant hurdles from the outset. Videos circulating online reveal their struggles during basic training exercises. In one instance, Russian trainers attempted to teach North Korean troops how to deploy landmines. The session quickly devolved into a language lesson as the North Korean soldiers, unfamiliar with Russian, fumbled to understand commands. A soldier attempting to pronounce the Russian word for faintly exemplified the communication challenges they face. This lack of language proficiency has serious consequences. Miscommunication during critical operations, such as handling explosives, could lead to fatal mistakes. Moreover, the soldiers' unfamiliarity with Russian military equipment, including night vision goggles and thermal imaging devices, leaves them ill-equipped to operate effectively on the battlefield. Facing the reality of modern warfare. The stark difference between North Korean training and the realities of modern warfare became painfully clear during their first encounters with Ukrainian forces. Ukrainian troops, battle-hardened from years of conflict, launched a devastating artillery strike on positions held by North Korean soldiers. Ukrainian officials described the engagement as a small clash, but it resulted in significant casualties for the North Koreans. Hyun Sung Lee, a former North Korean soldier who trained with the country's elite Storm Corps, highlighted the unpreparedness of these troops. According to Lee, North Korean soldiers rarely receive comprehensive training, particularly with advanced equipment. Their lack of battlefield experience and reliance on outdated tactics make them easy targets for Ukraine's well-equipped and experienced forces. Cultural and psychological challenges. For many North Korean soldiers, deployment to Russia marks their first exposure to the outside world. Coming from an isolated regime with strict controls on information, they find themselves in an entirely new environment. Reports indicate that some soldiers have taken advantage of unrestricted internet access to consume content previously unavailable to them, including entertainment and social media. This newfound freedom highlights the sheltered lives they led in North Korea and underscores their unpreparedness for the challenges of war. This cultural shock is compounded by low morale. Many soldiers were reportedly promised significant financial compensation, approximately $2,000 per month. However, former North Korean soldiers have revealed that most of this money is likely confiscated by the regime, leaving little to benefit the troops or their families. This betrayal adds to the soldiers' sense of hopelessness as they realize they have little to gain from their service in Ukraine. A humanitarian tragedy. The cost of war. The casualty rate among North Korean soldiers in Ukraine is staggering. Ukrainian officials estimate that up to 90% of these troops may not survive the conflict. This translates to over 10,000 soldiers out of the reported 12,000 facing death or severe injury. Such high casualty rates reflect not only the intensity of the conflict, but also the lack of preparation and support for these soldiers. Desertions have already been reported. According to South Korean media, a group of North Korean soldiers stationed near the Ukrainian border fled their posts, traveling over 37 miles before being recaptured. These incidents reveal the desperation of troops who feel ill-equipped to face a powerful and determined Ukrainian military. The burden on families back home. The impact of this deployment extends beyond the soldiers to their families in North Korea. The regime's policy of generational punishment means that any perceived disloyalty by a soldier could result in severe repercussions for their relatives. Families are often kept under strict surveillance, with one member typically held as a hostage in Pyongyang to ensure the soldier's compliance. This creates an unbearable emotional burden for soldiers who must navigate the war knowing their actions could endanger their loved ones. Adding to this tragedy is the secrecy surrounding the deployment. Reports suggest that many families are unaware that their loved ones have been sent to fight in Ukraine. This lack of communication leaves families in a state of uncertainty, unable to mourn or support their relatives. Psychological warfare and defections. Ukrainian forces have employed psychological tactics to target the North Korean troops, broadcasting messages urging them to defect or surrender before they are killed. This propaganda, coupled with the soldiers' dire circumstances, has led to an increasing number of desertions. Former soldiers and experts believe that many North Koreans in Kursk will choose to defect rather than face certain death on the battlefield. However, defection comes with its own risks. North Korean deserters face severe consequences if captured, including harsh punishments or even execution. Additionally, their families back home may be subjected to imprisonment or forced labor as retribution for their actions. The geopolitical implications. The deployment of North Korean troops to Ukraine underscores the lengths to which Russia is willing to go to bolster its forces amidst a grueling war of attrition. For North Korea, this alliance provides an opportunity to showcase its loyalty to Russia, gain much-needed financial and political support, and demonstrate its strategic relevance on the global stage. However, the human cost of this cooperation is immense, with thousands of soldiers paying the ultimate price for a conflict they have little stake in and likely do not fully understand. This situation also highlights the broader humanitarian crisis faced by North Korean citizens. The regime's willingness to exploit its soldiers as cannon fodder, coupled with the mistreatment of their families back home, reveals the depth of oppression and control it wields over its people. These soldiers are not just participants in a war, they are symbols of a system that prioritizes loyalty to the state over individual well-being. Their plight also raises concerns about the complicity of other nations in enabling such exploitation, either through silence or indirect support, thereby shedding light on the global failure to address human rights abuses effectively. And there you have it. The unbelievable saga of North Korean soldiers caught in the chaos of Ukraine. It's a story that's equal parts tragic, bizarre, and proof that even geopolitics can feel like a dark comedy. So, what would you do if you were handed a landmine and didn't even know the word for gently? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because navigating YouTube is way easier than surviving Kursk.